You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Folks, Smirnoff. I love it. Smirnoff knows there's no I in football. It's a we thing, best enjoyed with good drinks and great company. Home or away, we rally together, cry together, and always rally cry together because there's no I in fandom. Smirnoff, the world's #1 vodka, is perfect for easy, delicious cocktails for fans over 21. As the official vodka partner of the NFL, Smirnoff's award-winning taste has been igniting the collective spirit since 1864. Grab a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff, #21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Football season is here, and there's absolutely nothing better than game day. But it can be a little bit stressful. You're placing bets, you're setting fantasy lineups, you're figuring out the most comfortable position to sit on your couch for the next 12 hours. No one has time to think about this part. Cooking. Well, thanks to DoorDash, you don't have to worry about that. DoorDash is the best place to order all your game day favorites. Chicken wings, nachos, burgers, dogs, hey, maybe even little chips and guac, something like that. Get a little salsa in there. It can all be delivered with DoorDash. So this football season, don't stress about the cooking. Kick back and enjoy game day thanks to DoorDash. DoorDash, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to order your game day favorites.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
Let's get Mike Ryan's correspondent opinions on this. We are bringing him in. He was in California. Maybe he's still in California.
Still is.
It looks like there is a hotel room behind him. Your appraisal of what it is that happened Saturday as David tries to poo-poo that victory and is weirdly taking the lane of being someone who's saying, not that exciting, what's the big deal? It's only October. Your thoughts, Mike Ryan, as you saw exactly how it is. If your team is going to lose this season, it'll look something like that.
It'll look like it looked for 5 of the top 11 teams in the nation. I think what this weekend proved is that winning is really hard. And when you have the day in, day out grind of a difficult conference, it's tricky to pull off, as Tennessee and Alabama found out. It's an interesting thing what's happening with Miami and their victories, because people look at their schedule and say, Miami's got an easy schedule. And yeah, that's what game day typically does. They go to spots that are easy for opposing teams, I guess. That was the nation's #1 defense, and Miami's offense is absolutely incredible. It's arguably the best in the nation. The stats back that up. And you saw on Saturday the best of Cam Ward and some of the worst. And sometimes he'll put you in that position, but it's amazing that these terrible, and that pick six was atrocious, these terrible turnovers don't really mean anything to him. He's pretty resilient in that way.
I don't think that that's the Achilles heel of the University of Miami. He will have 3 touchdown, 2 interception games. I believe the Achilles heel of the University of Miami is their defense allows too many giant plays.
Yeah, they've certainly surrendered big chunk plays, and this was actually something that kind of popped a little bit during fall camp. They're giving something away in their tendencies defensively, because the last 2 weeks, the opposing head coaches have really taken their lunch. It needs to be addressed. Entering this season, the secondary was a real concern, particularly corner. They've had injuries there. They haven't really found a solution. Hopefully some of the young guys can continue to progress, and maybe you move Mish Powell to nickel. But the big chunk plays are a huge issue, even though Ott was relatively contained outside of a controversial long touchdown. Yeah, they need to figure that out. The opposing running backs are seemingly pulling away, and their offense on the running game, Miami hasn't really been able, outside of Jordan Lyle against USF and A.J. Allen, I believe, against FAMU, they haven't really been able to pop off these huge runs when they get into the second level.
Are we talking about this if the game went as it was supposed to go, which is just Miami beating them soundly from start to finish?
That's not how it went.
But why are we talking because they were down, they played so badly, and they were forced into a position to come back?
Because it's an unusual comeback. That's
If this was a much less interesting game, would we be talking about this? Like, probably not as much, David. Isn't that obvious?
6:30 in the morning for Mike. 6:30. You got him up to talk about this game.
How's Cynthia doing, by the way, right next to you?
She's in that bed. She's in that bed right now. It's been a great trip. I will say that it was an unbelievable experience. And David, you could poo-poo it if you want. That, like I said, that is the nation's #1 defense, and that was an incredible atmosphere. And the hospitality has been nice here in Berkeley outside of the actual game. When the game got going, that kind of felt like a legitimate hostile crowd, them identifying where the opposing coaches' wives were and going at them, security being lax and really letting those folks do whatever they want to do. The broadcast, for whatever reason, completely ignored dozens of bottles being thrown at Miami football players after that game. It was a great game, a great finish, and if you want to just look at it and say, well, what happened here? Miami didn't cover a 10-point spread. That's not really what happened in that game. And if you watch that game, you'd realize that was as improbable a comeback victory as Miami has ever had, including that Duke victory where Cornelder helped out in the kickoff return. That was an unreal comeback, and Miami never wins that game. Only good teams find victory in that situation. And I think despite Miami having a difficult time against Virginia Tech, who now all of a sudden with that Vanderbilt result, they look a lot tougher on the year. They thoroughly handled Stanford. And Cal went to Auburn and didn't really sweat the Auburn Tigers. And Florida now looks even better. I think Miami's schedule is actually probably a little bit better, and they have the highest ranked strength of schedule outside of teams with one. So, like, they have the highest strength of schedule in the top 10 amongst the undefeated teams, for whatever that's worth.
For the audio audience, Mike Ryan is in a hotel room at 6:30 in the morning. He's swigging some sort of drink that could be Red Bull, it could be water. And I'm wondering, when you check into the hotel, do you choose stage left to be empty of the bed that I see in the background, or is that your normal position at your house? Or did you think ahead knowing you were going to be on the air?
Excellent follow-up. Izzy, what did you have for Mike?
That's a critical thing.
Thank you, Dan.
That's not my spot. That's not my spot, usually.
See, they did it.
2 straight weeks, Mike, with very stressful instant replay reviews. Your thoughts on targeting, no targeting?
The targeting thing, when it happened live, I was like, he hit him too hard. He hit him too hard, and because it was a quarterback, people think that the rules changed. Just like the previous week, people think that the rules changed for whatever reason in the end zone, because I think it's a weird thing. The Virginia Tech game, you have, when you were a runner, if the ball just sneaks over the pylon, it's immediately a touchdown, and I think that really clogged people's view of the touchdown pass. But I didn't think it was targeting, but I'm biased. I will say that they looked at it pretty thoroughly and they slowed it down, and it didn't look like targeting. It just looked like he hit him very hard. And thankfully, Mendoza, who was really tough, who's a Miami kid, he came back in that game, but he was wearing that hit because he had wide open wide receivers in that final drive. I don't know if the TV broadcast picked up on that, but there were just bad throws there. Cal could have absolutely pushed that ball in that final drive, but I think because of the previous hit, Mendoza was a bit loopy.
What about the illegal man downfield on the Miami touchdown?
So those blockers were engaged, and that's what makes the RPO so difficult to defend. The RPO, essentially just a quarterback and one receiver, know that there might possibly be a pass here. So RPO, there's usually vagaries, and people let that one go because those linemen are engaged in a block. But if you want to do that, fine. Cam Ward got hit in the face on the very same play, so they're offsetting. If you want to back up Miami, it's still second down. They easily made their way for 91 yards. I think that it's probably a little bit more advantageous for Miami if they call that, because there's less time on the clock.
Mike, I need to stop you just because the guy with a bag on his head just whispered in my ear, this is worse than anything I've ever said in Heat homerdom. And Izzy has burst out laughing that you, at this point, if the University of Miami killed somebody on the field with a machete, you would say that guy had it coming to him.
I mean, if people don't know the rules when it comes to the illegal man downfield, I'm sorry.
But that was targeting, though, Mike. It was targeting. He hit him.
It was shoulder. It was shoulder to shoulder, and he's not a defenseless player. He's a running back. He just hit him hard.
He hit him.
They looked at it. They looked at it.
Yeah, they did look at it, and Brock Osweiler was screaming, "That's an automatic targeting call."
Well, this is why commentators frame these discussions. We talked about this last week. It's not. if it were, it would have been called as such. I've been in those stands for several away games where the exact same play happens and it's targeting. It wasn't
Mike,
targeting
you were
this
watching
time.
the replay and you were saying to yourself confidently, nope, hit him in the shoulder.
Yeah, just like I was saying the week before that. Nope, it wasn't a catch. I wasn't watching these things on TV, so I guess I don't have that. I saw in the group chat that Reese Davis was pushing back on Brock Osweiler. For those that were awake, can probably confirm that. Also, did we get down to whether or not there was a voter from Wyoming that had Miami 16? And I swear to God, he thinks Miami lost that game. He voted as if Miami
It was
lost
really
that
late,
game.
Mike. It was so late over here. I know you're in California, but that voter was definitely asleep by 2 a.m.
Yeah, I heard a bunch of people say after the game, that was targeting. And it's like, you kind of blew a 25-point lead. We're going to hang on to the targeting as if that were the difference. It's like the chief bailout of all bailouts there. Please call targeting because they hit us so hard as they were mounting this incredible comeback. They looked at it. It wasn't targeting. Let's
I like
move
how
on.
Loopy Fernando, when he got up, was still sharp enough to say, I clearly got hit in the head. You guys should take a look at that. And that's when they finally took a look at it.
Well, if he clearly got hit in the head, why was he out there the final drive?
Same
Why was
reason,
Josh Allen
same
out there
reason
the final
Josh
drive?
Allen was, yes, because it's an
Well,
inexact
just like-
science.
Okay, the training staff sends a guy back out there because he got hit in his shoulder. He got hit hard. They review it. It's not targeting. Okay, fine. If you want to say it's targeting, then I guess Miami owes everything to the refs.
I like Loopy Fernando as a character. Loopy Fernando was trying to bring Cal back. This is the part that I'm grateful for, and this part's not up for dispute. Wherever it is that you want to dispute anything related to the University of Miami football team, they're wildly interesting again, just period. It's not any diluters on that. Their offense is good enough that Cam Ward is somebody who deserves his Heisman credentials. The statistics don't lie. This is statistically the best start a University of Miami quarterback has ever had. And that's a long list of great quarterbacks that have done impressive statistical things. He is wildly confident, on occasion too confident, and he makes them unbelievably interesting.
They're 44 minutes interesting.
We did a little we did a little Vanderbilt, Alabama, but yes, we're a Miami show, and we are talking a lot about the University of Miami today because, again, they had a comeback the school hasn't had in a century, David. You can continue, in this century, I should say. You can complain about it all you want, but it's a game we haven't seen in 25 years. I don't know, were there more wildly interesting games in football yesterday, in professional football? Did you think there were a lot of things that were more interesting than the way the University of Miami won?
For me, there were.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying
What
to
are
speak
they?
about allocation.
What
Aren't
are
you
they?
in charge of allocating
We got
time?
a 4-hour show. We're going to be doing 3 more hours of show after this.
I mean, Lamar Jackson against the Bengals was pretty damn good.
It was good. I agree with you. That's as well as Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow can play. Give me Mike Ryan, since he mentioned the Cornelder, the Cornelder game against Duke. This is the last time the University of Miami felt like this on a Monday.
27-24, squib kick. Just fall down on it or whatever. No, they're going to try the lateral. Pass it to the other side of the field. This never works. Caught by Cornelder. Pitches it back to Jaquan Johnson at the Miami 30, delaying the inevitable. Looking for a block. Pitches it backwards. As many laterals now as BS pass interference penalties on that last drive. Walton now pitches it back to Johnson. Guess we're going to keep going with this. Toss it back. Here comes another pitch. Cornelder has it. Throws it back to the Plumbers' 9-1-1 goal line. Dallas Crawford looking for a block. Gets one. Definitely not a block in the back. He throws it across to the 30 to Cornelder. Big legal block. He's got it to the 40. Cornelder crossing El Palacio de los Jugos midfield. Cornelder speeding now to the 40. Speeding ticket. VicHoward.com. Halter now dashing down the Dandy Bear sideline. So what? Your kid has ringworm. Dandy Bear. Elder inside the Gus Machado red zone. Cornelder. He's at the 10. He's at the 5. Lindy, Herrick, Scotty, Mike, Miami, Seaquarium, touchdown! There are presently no flags on the field, and certainly no one will have a problem with how this game ended! Oh wait, we don't speak English, so everyone hates us!
What is your problem, David? You still think it's the local hour? David, what do you want us to be talking about in the local hour?
Why did you ask if this is the local hour?
Let's send Mike Ryan out on a song about him. He's a Golden Cane. He's one of the biggest University of Miami boosters that there are nationally. Let's serenade him on the way out. Thank you, Mike. Congratulations on your 6-0 start. Back to work. Very seriously, back to work.
Back to work came in under. I had that over 2.5, and he didn't say it once.
Good seeing you, Mike.
Good seeing you. Go Canes. It's a bye week.
Cynthia.
Hey DraftKings fans, are you ready to elevate your game day snacking experience? This college football season, we're feeling the cheesiest with Cheez-It. That's right, delicious Cheez-It crackers not only satisfy your snack cravings for game day excitement, but they are also amplifying your football watching experience with a new daily fantasy sports game. Best of all, since Cheez-Its is made with 100% real cheese, the game is 100% free to play with a chance of winning real cash. Be sure to carefully select your favorite Cheez-It flavor to snack on. White cheddar, extra toasty, or maybe you're an OG fan, while you select your weekly players for college football's cheesiest challenge all season long. So snack and play like a champ with Cheez-It.
Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com/Cheez-It for full details.
Football season is here, and there's absolutely nothing better than game day. But it can be a little bit stressful. You're placing bets, you're setting fantasy lineups, you're figuring out the most comfortable position to sit on your couch for the next 12 hours. No one has time to think about this part. Cooking. Well, thanks to DoorDash, you don't have to worry about that. DoorDash is the best place to order all your game day favorites. Chicken wings, nachos, burgers, dogs, hey, maybe even a little chips and guac, something like that. Get a little salsa in there. It can all be delivered with DoorDash. So this football season, don't stress about the cooking. Kick back and enjoy game day thanks to DoorDash. DoorDash, your door to more. Download the DoorDash app now to order your game day favorites.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Don Batard.
We love you. We've got you. We've all got each other. Let's go right now.
Stugotz.
1, 2, 3, Brett. 1, 2, 3, Brett.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I think we can all agree that the takeaway that everyone had off of professional football yesterday is how in the hell is Van Ginkel always in the end zone?
Bleeping Van Ginkel.
I, again, forgot that there was an early game. This happens to me with the first couple of London games every single year. I'm arriving in the third quarter of, Minnesota's up 17-7. I didn't catch any of this. Van Ginkel now has, I think I've still got this right, he's got more touchdowns than the combination of Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Garrett Wilson.
I mean, that guy was doing that when he was a Dolphin, which you know is a sign he is a great player. The Dolphins, I know this isn't local stuff, but the Dolphins had a Van Ginkel and a Van Noy who always make plays. Let them both go.
Brian Flores is the D coordinator for Van Ginkel with the Dolphins and now with Minnesota. That's the scheme that, like, I give Flores credit as much as Van Ginkel for, like, they put 22 guys at the line of scrimmage and then half of them drop back. And it's just very confusing.
But how is one guy always in the right spot at every single play, and it's Van Ginkel?
Is Brian Flores the best defense with Belichick out of the league? Who is the best defensive mind going right now?
He's getting a lot of credit. Obviously, Minnesota. What are the undefeated teams in the league? It's Kansas City and Minnesota. Is there a third one? What is the third? Is there a third unbeaten team in the NFL? That league is kind of crazy in terms of parity. The Bengals are now 1-4. The Ravens are a very barely 3-2. You have, the Cowboys are barely at 500. And so because the Vikings are 5-0 and because none of us understand how the Vikings are 5-0 with Sam Darnold, even though all of us know, not a Super Bowl champion. I'm sorry, you can give Flores all the credit you want. You can give O'Connell all the credit you want. You can give Sam Darnold all the credit you want. There will be no circumstance under which Sam Darnold is winning the Super Bowl.
Dan, there was a point during yesterday's game where I had written off the Sam Darnold experience for the season. He had started to sort of to scramble a little bit, didn't really look good. There was a screenplay that he gave up on like immediately and just threw into the ground where there was nobody around him. Looked like he was starting to see ghosts. And then the fourth quarter happened, and it just looked like, hey, he's 5-0 now. What can I say?
Andrew Van Ginkel is tied for third on the Vikings in touchdowns.
The Sam Darnold play you're talking about there is he actually was a smart play where Sam Darnold saw that it was going to get blown up and just threw it into the floor on purpose.
But he saw it way too soon, Dan. Like, you could make something happen there, but come on. He just
gave up on it very quickly. You're right. Also, can you guys tell me, because I missed the first half of that game, what happened with Sauce Gardner? That he was just incapable of dealing with Justin Jefferson. He was getting a lot of penalties, and I saw that people were being critical of Sauce Gardner, who I think of, if it's not Surtain, I think of Sauce Gardner as the best cornerback in the league.
He had like a 6-play stretch where he had 2 bad penalties and a dropped easy interception. It was like the worst stretch of this like great cornerback's career. So I think that's what you're talking about. But there were a lot of calls. Like there were a few, if you look at the replays, Jefferson got a few calls that he shouldn't have. So it kind of balanced out.
It's a league that requires superstar treatment. So we've seen that. I don't know why we keep talking about that. We talk about the parity.
Can we talk about anything, David?
Treatment. I'd like to talk about the game. It's an unbelievable thing to watch Aaron Rodgers continue to be thought of as someone who can win in the NFL. And I think it's clear that he cannot.
The thing that happened yesterday that I'm not used to seeing from Aaron Rodgers is he lost the game. They had 3 interceptions, and he doesn't throw interceptions. He sort of reinvented the way the position is played in terms of not making the mistakes that cost you. And at the end of the game, he had a chance to win it, and they're doing a lot of 5-yard slants that Van Ginkel can jump on because they're doing so much intermediary stuff. And then when he throws it to Mike Williams, he throws it in a terrible place at the end of the game.
They said that was his 6th, I believe, career pick 6 that Aaron Rodgers has thrown, which you're thinking, I don't know if that's a lot or not. Peyton Manning had like 27. So it's pretty, it seems like it's an ability he has to not throw pick 6s.
I think the only saving grace is that the rest of the AFC East yesterday looked so bad. The Bills game was some weird late game management to lose that one on a field goal. Josh Allen looked like he got hurt, but then he came back in, which was weird. And then, of course, the Patriots-Dolphins game. Ugh.
Look, as a Dolphins fan, I can judge that that's concussed. All right, Josh Allen was concussed there. Next game, if they let him play, if it happens again, that's when the fingers things happen. So, as a Dolphins fan, I can spot this, and I'm telling you, he's concussed.
To David's point, Aaron Rodgers, like a lot of his stuff that he does when he was in his prime, a lot more physicality, right? There's a lot more running out of the pocket, a lot more of these dimes in small windows. Now, I feel like he relies on a lot of that quarterback to receiver chemistry. Like, let me throw a back shoulder. It requires more than just putting it at the right spot. It requires the receiver to know that I'm throwing it back shoulder, push off just the right time, get back. And all that stuff is, obviously it's a quarterback and a receiver, but it's not the receiver throwing you open. It's not the quarterback throwing you open. It's the receiver doing a lot of the work there. So it feels like Aaron's success is really dependent on how good those receivers are at reading him.
He's winning the Oscar for you then, because what Aaron Rodgers is doing, if you watch that game, the 9:30 a.m. Eastern game, he is blaming receivers. He's shaking his head when the receivers are in the wrong place or they don't run the right route, or at the end of the game, that pass, he's going like this with his arms, where I'm just saying he is trying to think in his mind, and athletes do this all the time. When they get older and they've been superstars, they don't acknowledge the fact that their skills have been limited. They refuse to. You have to rip the uniform off their back. Aaron Rodgers clearly is not Aaron Rodgers.
It's also great coaching from the Vikings to know his tendencies. Like that Van Ginkel pick, they explained how that's a Aaron Rodgers tendency to get it out really quick into the flat. And so he turned around right after the ball was snapped and was in the perfect spot for that pick six. So that's good coaching from the defense. And also that last interception, like you said, Dan, that was just a poorly placed ball, and the corner was able to turn around and snag it. And Rodgers wanted a penalty flag because how could he? But it was a pretty badly placed. If he put it over the wide receiver's right shoulder, it probably would have been a touchdown.
He's also not evolving with the times. I heard that he's very anti-motion, and everyone's offense these days, that's how you get all the advantages. So he just is kind of stuck in his ways, and like Jess said, he has his same check calls, it's going to be quick slants, and that's why Van Ginkel read that shit.
One of the things, that's good analysis. That's why Van Ginkel read that shit. One of the things that is interesting about where it is that teams placed value in the offseason, Lazard and third receivers are being paid better than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, the Ravens got him 1 year, $9 million. And the Ravens, who had a record-breaking rushing offense a couple of years ago, have a better rushing offense this year with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. That entire game yesterday, the best game of the day, the Bengals and Ravens, Derrick Henry got held to no run was more than 7 yards until the one that won the game that went 50 yards. But now it would seem that Davante Adams is somebody that someone is going to trade for. And I don't know if you guys saw what Davante Adams did on his social media this weekend. He put up a picture of Edgar Allan Poe, which I was not expecting. That one caught me off guard, and
that he would know who that is, or that he would post it.
Just all of it was confusing to me. I wasn't expecting the tell of the poem is quote the Raven. That's a Raven reference, correct?
It could be Edgar Allan, Josh Allen.
Could just be a big fan of spooky season, Dan. I mean, you guys aren't aware of this, but it's October. It's fall. Everyone's getting a little spooky. We're reading spooky Edgar Allan Poe poems.
Edgar Martinez, Seattle. There's a lot of options here.
Okay, but I believe he was going for the Edgar Allan
Poe boy. Where do they make Poe boys?
Saints.
New Orleans.
You sound like idiots.
Ooh, today's actually the anniversary of Edgar Allan Poe's death, October 7th, 1849. Maybe that's what he was referencing, an early celebration.
Paying his respects.
Wow.
You guys didn't find this as weird
Patriots.
as I did, that he was just putting up a photo that I'm checking Davante Adams' social media, and there's just a photo of Edgar Allan Poe. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Batard Show. Do you recognize Edgar Allan Poe on sight?
Edgar Allan Poe, EAP, easily accessible place. What's an easy accessible place that he could be ended? I'm going deep with this.
Please the microphones in this show.
Are you okay?
Getting emotional?
Who hurt you?
Very emotional.
What are you doing? What is that? Is that a kerchief? What are you?
I carry a handkerchief
You're
around.
wiping around at your nose. What happened? Are you leaking from your nose? What's happening there?
I was laughing. Have you ever laughed so hard that all of a sudden you start crying? I'm laughing at you checking Adam's social media and seeing Edgar Allan Poe. That makes me laugh.
Oh, yeah. Dan totally follows him on Instagram.
Yeah, totally. I totally know exactly what Edgar Allan Poe looks like when you show me a black and white photo of Edgar Allan Poe. No one needed to explain any of that to me.
I thought that he was someone who wrote our Declaration of Independence when I first saw it. I wouldn't have recognized. There's no way that everyone recognized Edgar Allan Poe.
I mean, yes, there is.
Yeah. You recognize
Yes,
Edgar.
David.
I didn't.
I wasn't in college 3 decades ago, respectfully.
That is not
It
respectful.
wasn't. I'm going to leave for a
That
minute.
is not in any way respectful. That is, you don't have to leave. You don't get to penalize yourself. That you don't get to penalize yourself. That's not how that one works. Like, I don't understand how it is that people are always calling their own penalties. Like,
well, Willow's here, Dan, so she needs a little bit of time to play with the dog and then come on right back.
That's what it was. Is she wants a break.
Yeah, no, you got to sit there. The penalty is you got to sit there and watch David clean his runny nose. Got to stare right at it. Did you guys see yesterday that Andy Dalton, with 2 minutes left in the first half, was 7 for 8 for 15 yards? That's what the Carolina Panthers.
There's no way. He's back.
7 for 8 for 15 yards was the stat line on Andy Dalton.
He had a good run.
As Stugotz was in Chicago with Billy and God Bless Football doing both that game, the Andy Dalton Red Rifle game, and Chicago Bears football. I don't know if that one was worse, though, than Dolphins-Patriots. Dolphins-Patriots was an excruciating misery to watch. The Dolphins special teams, dreadful. And Mike McDaniel, the last 3 weeks have aged him about a dozen years. This poor guy has been, like, I feel like he has been thrown through like a dry clean presser, like a tumble in the dry cleaner, where he has just been he's in tatters.
He didn't think this one through, this look through. He didn't say to himself, hey, what if we suck this year? What am I going to look like? Because if you're winning, you look like Coach Miami, you're the man. But if you're not winning, you just look like you walked out of, 11 at 5 in the morning and you put your glasses back on and realized, oh shit, I'm on camera.
I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the 509 yards that Kirk Cousins had in the last game that we saw Kirk Cousins play represents more yards than the Patriots had thrown for in all 4 of the games before yesterday combined. I can't imagine what Patriot fans are feeling watching that football team after what they had for 20 years, where the Dolphins were favored in that football game. The Dolphins shouldn't be favored against anybody.
That was shocking. And the Patriots, they had a touchdown at the end of the game that didn't count because there was no toe drag. And that was a devastating
That's a
call
weird
to end the
rule.
game on.
That, like, if you're going backwards, you got to get the heel down. If you're going forward and the toes just drag, that's enough. It's an odd. What if you're going sideways?
I spent time last night thinking about, because there was someone who talked about the heel toe. It's not the first time it's come up this year. And there's a competition committee that goes through those rules. And I was trying to understand the provenance of that. What are they trying to guard against? Because that should be a legitimate touchdown at the end of that game. I actually turned it off because my pick of the day was the Patriots, and they scored, and that's it. The Patriots were going to cover. And then I looked back many minutes later, and it was disallowed, and I didn't know what happened. And I went back, and it was the heel-toe issue.
Well, the NFL is crazy to me. I spent that entire game obviously not paying attention to the football on the field, but thinking about just how long ago it was that the Dolphins scored 70 points against the Denver Broncos. And am I wrong? Was it 2 years ago or 1 year ago? It was last season, right? It was last season, and they were so much fun. They had built up all this energy in people to the point where last week, before that game against that horrible game last week, people were telling me on the streets, hey, I got this crazy parlay. Tyreek's going to go crazy tonight. And I'm like, do you know who's playing quarterback? Tyreek's not doing anything tonight. And then I'm flipping through the channels, and the Washington Commanders are doing crazy things, and it makes me not want to change the channel. And I'm like, man, the NFL, it's like that. Everything changes in the snap of a finger. And last year I was being told that being a fan of the Dolphins made me a loser because they didn't win a playoff game. And what? Like, at least I had a good season. This year has been absolute crap.
Have you ever been watching a game on a normal broadcast? So it's like not red zone. I am just sticking with this game, but you want the red zone treatment for the game. It's like, I just want this screen to go black for Patriots Dolphins, and when they get in the red zone, let it be up. Like put music on. You know how sometimes YouTube TV has like the
moment
this is
of
just
zen.
moment of zen. Just give me that, And then when there's something important happening, show me the game.
I love when you can skip the ad and get that extra moment of zen for like an extra 5 seconds. Man, those are nice.
I mean, the whole game lived between like the 40 and the 40, just in midfield, and it was just gross, and I didn't want to watch any of it.
What would you be doing during this period? Would you just be sitting there staring at the blank screen?
Just resting my eyes. It was funny. I was watching Red Zone at a buddy's house, and we made the decision. We're like, all right, big TV gets Dolphins, small TV gets Red Zone. Let's see how long we make it.
Now, you really got to focus in on the bee when it's like on top of the flower and try, like that's if you really stare at that for a while, man, that is so relaxing.
It was about midway through the second quarter. We're like, all right, flipping it. Dolphins on the small TV, Red Zone on the big TV.
Sometimes there's just a view of like the sand and the beach, and there's like the ocean water crashing, and those are the best. The worst part is when you can't find your remote in time to skip that ad, and you have to watch those extra 5 seconds of ad, but you know there's some zen coming.
I could feel off of David, even though he didn't say anything, and I think he's still stewing in this particular stew, that David does not believe that people were walking up to you on the streets talking about their parlays.
Absolutely.
What streets?
This literally happened to me yesterday. Someone walked up to me and they're like, so, Dolphins are playing the Patriots today. I got a survivor pool. What do you think about this game? And I was like, I don't like giving advice on stuff. Like, I don't know. But definitely don't pick the Dolphins for your Survivor League. That's a mistake.
People think because I work for this show, it's like, hey, dude, who should I start? This guy or this guy? It's
they
like,
don't think because of this show that anyone knows
literally
anything.
this happened to me
it's
yesterday.
people that don't listen.
They're making conversation.
It's people
not
that don't
because-
listen. They just think like, oh, sports job. Who should I start? It's like, dude, my team's 1-4.
The guy showed me the Hard Rock bet screen. Like, he showed me he had the bet. I'm not lying to you.
You let a stranger, so you talked that long that they got out their phone and showed you their screen of their wager.
Well, I was leaving the medical marijuana dispensary, and everybody's super friendly when you walk out of those things. And this guy was just like, hey, bro, I noticed you in there, but I didn't want to talk to you. Hey, I got this crazy parlay with Tyreek Hill. And I was like, go for it, man.
I'm not even kidding. Like, this happened to me yesterday. Like, oh, you work for DraftKings, right? So let me tell you about all my bets today. This happened to me yesterday, David. This is a real thing. I am not an expert, and I hate giving advice, but I did say take the Commanders for your survivor pool, and guess what? They're one of 5 people left in their survivor pool.
So good. I think that's fantastic that you work for DraftKings and that you're giving betting advice. I like that we're put in that position.
Literally said I wasn't.
I think that people think you do is what's making me smile. And I'm picturing everyone on the streets right now. I had the Patriots in my survivor pool, and it was my second survivor pool, having lost in week 2 of the first one.
Okay, Jessica, I don't want you talking behind your hand to Jeremy and both of you giggling, avoiding the audience while you talk amongst yourselves. Like, that is the rudest, what you guys just did there, where you think you're concealed because this makes it clear that no one can see what it is that you're saying because you got a hand in front of your lips. What did you two just say at David's expense, please?
It's that Lewis got in our ear and went, yo, this guy sucks.
Lewis...
We've got a penalty, 5 minutes, major asshole.
Go sit in the penalty box, Lewis. We don't need you doing a private show that distracts Jessica and Jeremy from the one that we're presently doing.
At least cover your mouth when you say that, Lewis.
The things that happened in football yesterday that were interesting, you've got a handful of them. You've got Bengals, obviously, and Ravens was a lot of fun. Quarterbacks playing at the top of the sport. Lamar Jackson fumbled the game away at the end, and the Bengals kicker missed a 53-yard field goal. When in the other interesting game, Houston and Bills, the kicker makes the 59-yard field goal, and we're now deciding these games by nothing from 59 yards out. And the difference between Atlanta being at the top of its division is that Koo will make 59-yard field goals at the end of games.
It was just a bunch of games where everyone was trying to give the game away. You mentioned Lamar giving it away. Joe Burrow with the weirdest interception. They have the ball. They can run the clock out. Throws a quick slant, interception. The Ravens are back in the game all of a sudden. There were a lot of examples of teams just giving away games.
Well, you say there are a lot of examples, but this is what I would say about yesterday's play, because you had a couple of 100-yard plays. That doesn't happen very often. You had no reason whatsoever to watch Broncos Raiders.
Ugh.
No need to watch that. No need to watch Patriots Dolphins. There's a lot of slop being played everywhere. But Bills Texans, you know both of those teams to be good. Lewis, you haven't been in there long enough. That hasn't been 5 minutes. Get back in the seat. You haven't been in there long enough. Bills and Texans, you know that both of those teams are good. But Josh Allen rarely plays that poorly. Josh Allen was clearly concussed. Josh Allen got smelling salts, and then at the end of that game, all of the Bills organization felt like it was playing concussed, throwing from its own end zone, as if they were trying to come back from behind. The way that they were playing the end of that game made it feel like the Bills didn't know the score, that they thought that they were behind and throwing from their own end zone, because with a reckless quarterback, they did 3 straight dangerous things that will be the worst time management you see in that sport this entire year.
I read this stat from the story of that game, and it's so Josh Allen. The Bills are the only team in the last 45 years to be tied or leading in the final minute of a game inside their own 5-yard line and throw 3 straight passes. That's per ESPN research.
It was really weird because then the Texans got the ball back, did like a little dump pass into the middle of the field and had one of their timeouts. So they called a timeout and set up a long kick, which they made, which like if they hadn't been able to get that pass off, I don't know if the kicker makes it because it would have been like a 60-yard plus field goal. So it was really weird clock management from the Bills. And like you said, like they were deep in their own end zone. So I guess I understand trying to get some field position because if you run it 3 times, the Texans still get the ball back with good field position. But at least maybe you make them use some timeouts. So it was really, really strange.
Crazy. Dan, how do we allow that? How do we allow him back in the game? Because if that, now I know there's a history there, but if that happens to Tua or even anybody who's just deemed to be slightly more fragile than, Caballo, Josh Allen over there, they're not coming back into this game. When he left the game and I saw the replay, I was like, that's a sure thing. He's done. But they give him some smelling salts and he answers the right questions and he comes back because he's 6, whatever he is, and 200-something pounds, because that was so clear and obvious, it was embarrassing.
He claimed it was an ankle, like in the post-game sound. He's like, I went into the tent, I hurt my ankle. What are you guys talking about?
Smelling salts for the ankle. Who doesn't say that?
It's weird. It was weird, though, and I think that physically there is something at play with the fact that people bounce off of him, and he is 240 pounds, and he looks bigger than most of the guys.
The ground cannot bounce off. Like, his head bounced off the ground. That's where the concussion came in.
I thought he was out. I thought he was actually unconscious.
If you look at one of his hands, he did that reflex thing. It just wasn't as obvious because he was turned a different way.
I'm concerned about the NFL doing that with Tua in the position he's in. They had the whole settlement, and the whole purpose of the blue tent and the protocol is to stop the smelling salt situation, which was common in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and to make the exception the way they did for Josh Allen, I thought ruined all of the progress they've made in fighting concussions.
There was one with C.J. Stroud, too, where C.J. Stroud takes a hard hit. You see the replay. It didn't seem like he banged his head, but they're about to do the next play, and you can hear the broadcast team being like, that was just a bad look. He should be checked out right now. And then the ref clearly gets a thing in his ear of, get him out. So, like, while they're at the line of scrimmage, they send him off the field. It was just funny. It's, hey, we think you're concussed. Hurry up and run off the field and get to the blue tent quickly. It's like he should probably be walking, taking his time. But it's like, no, we got to do the next play. You might be concussed. Jog off the field to the blue tent.
I don't know what the national storylines are today that everyone is talking about. Obviously, the Bengals falling to 1-4 in that particular game when Burrow played his best and still got outdone by Lamar Jackson being a little bit better and Derrick Henry at the end. But I do think at the top of the list, David, because I don't think there was that much interesting yesterday, the top of the list has to be Jaden Daniels. Like, the fact that the Washington Commanders have erased 25 years of inept, 25 years of our stadiums falling apart. We can't have a nickname for our team that's not racist. We have, sewage lines busting in the stadium. And now all of a sudden, in 5 games, we've clearly fixed it because this is the first quarterback ever to open with 5 games where he throws for more than 1,000 yards and rushes for more than 250.
It's October.
Okay, I don't know what to do if all you're going to do is this.
It's not all I'm going to do, but Jaden Daniels has had a great start to his career. One of the best starts, I could argue maybe the best starts of any quarterback that I can remember as a rookie. But to erase Daniel Snyder, does that mean Josh Harris has done it?
Josh Daniels.
I'm talking about, Josh Harris, the owner of the Commanders. He's done it. He's erased Daniel Snyder with 5 weeks. Is that our position?
Jaden Daniels.
I said Jaden. I didn't say Josh Daniels.
Yeah, this was Just a mix-up
I
of
said
Josh Harris, Jaden
Harris.
Daniels, Josh, I don't know.
It's October. That's what Dave's go-to move today is. He's going to just give the date again and again.
We should break down his full season, actually. David's right.
October baseball.
We haven't even spoken October yet. Did I really say Josh Daniels? Okay.
Hey folks, it's Mike. From defending your favorite team after a bad loss to obsessively checking your fantasy lineups, football fandom is bigger than just Sundays. Miller Lite knows the passion that comes with rooting for your team. Like the debate that sparked in 1975. Great taste versus less filling. So, what is the best thing about the original light beer? Let it be both. Yeah, let it be both. The fact that it has great taste and is also less filling. You don't have to pick your favorite because Miller Lite keeps it simple. Undebatable quality, great taste at only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away everything that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. The original light beer since 1975. Make your game time taste like Miller time. Tastes great and is less filling. Let it be both. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan. Or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.